Cody in the morning. WSM. This is Coffee, Country, and Cody.
Hey, welcome to the Country Music Living Room, as I like to call it. The Springer Mountain Farms Simply Superior Acuff House Studio is home to Coffee, Country, and Cody and WSM Radio at large. With our museum exhibit, you tour the Opry, you also get to tour our place. And the Behind the Airwaves Museum exhibit is interactive. And we'd welcome you a little later this morning when the tours start, all right? Or anytime you're here. Take a tour of the Grand Ole Opry House as a part of Opry 100. Yep, we are celebrating our centennial. Zach Bennett is in for Charlie Mattos, who's in New York. I'll be doing entertainment. Kelly Sutton, she's in New York. They did not plan it that way. No. It just kind of happened that way. Andy Nye is our studio director. Jeff Roberts, Rock Solid Roberts, is up in master control. Trisha Yearwood was at the Opry over the weekend, so we will celebrate the release of The Mirror, her new album, with an update on that here in a little while. The band Perry making news. Megan Maroney is making news this morning. Just a lot to get to here in a little bit. And then you mentioned Phil Madera.
Yeah.
We're going to encore that.
Yeah, he'll be in studio shortly.
He and Charlie, if you missed it last week, we're going to encore that. He has a new album called Falcon, and he's got this classic Falcon car on the album cover. And it reminded me, my first car, my dad famously said, now, boy, I'll put you in your first car. After that, you're on your own. 63 Ford Fairlane,
Ooh.
Which I've got to see. 3-speed in a column.
Yeah.
3 in a tree. Where the Falcon and the Fairlane overlapped, or were they two different models? I'm just trying to remember.
I'm not a car guy, so I have complete ignorance on this. I know they're both Ford. That's about all.
My dad, it was his fishing car. And you remember that kind of bubble wrap looking stuff that cars used to have?
Oh, yeah.
And it would be 1,000 degrees in the summertime and actually bake an imprint into the fatty part of your leg as a kid.
My mom had a Firebird from that era.
Okay.
And so, yes, absolutely. I think I still have the imprint.
All that stuff had started to crack and crumble and disintegrate. And he put this like moss green indoor-outdoor carpeting, rubberback carpeting in the back seat. And the paint was already just, it needed a paint job in the worst way. It had oxidized, but man, it got me where I needed to go.
Yeah.
But you did not want to try to merge onto a major highway or interstate with a 3-speed in the column. I shudder to think what life would be like in Nashville with that going on.
Exactly.
Hey, this is Coffee, Country, and Cody. And Kelly Sutton is off. Charlie Mattos as well. Zach Bennett is in. Andy Nye, our studio director. Jeff Roberts is in master control this morning, and update you on a few things in entertainment you need to know about. Let's see, Donna Fargo. I wanted to mention this. This just came down in the last few minutes from a former colleague who is now in publicity and among her clients, Donna Fargo, and that's Jennifer Herron. But Donna is honored to make a very special introduction as a guest announcer coming up this weekend on the Grand Ole Opry. That's Friday night. And the show, I'm not sure exactly at this point who she's going to introduce, but Nashville Songwriter Hall of Fame member Gary Nicholson is in, Opry Next Stage star Avery Anna, and the new duo Neon Union, in addition to Donna making her Grand Ole Opry debut as an announcer. What else to catch up on this morning? Oh, yeah, let's go back to Friday. That's when Trisha Yearwood released The Mirror. It's her new album, her latest album, the first in a long time, full album anyway. Bringing the Angels, Girls Night In, title track of the album, The Mirror. She did that Friday morning to celebrate at the Today Show on NBC, and then came to the Opry on Saturday. She signed at the Opry. She didn't miss a chance even on the Today Show like she does at the Opry to play She's in Love with a Boy. Because Porter said so.
Yep.
That's right. Who else did we catch up with this morning? Megan Maroney, current hit is You Had to Be There memorializes the summer that she spent on tour with superstar Kenny Chesney last year. Fast forward to 2025, and she's a headliner. She kicked off a 50-date run in March, 2 shows at New York City's Radio City Music Hall. That's where Kelly and Charlie, they're both there. Went for different reasons and just wound up being there coincidentally. But she reflects on her favorite places along the way, but one in particular stands out.
The MI Arcade Tour has been incredible. I think each show has something special, but the 2 nights in Savannah were very memorable. The arena in Market Arena is 3 miles from where I was born at the hospital. So it was just a really surreal moment, and I had a lot of family and friends there. So I think those were my favorite shows so far.
And it gets better. Colorado's Red Rocks and LA's Greek Theater coming up in the fall for Megan Maroney. She's on fire. When you listen to Jackson Dean's latest single, we just played it a little bit ago, Heavens to Betsy, and some of the other songs on his album, On the Back of My Dreams, you sometimes forget that he's only 24 years old, Jackson Dean, because of the depth, the emotion, the wisdom in his lyrics, all of which he had a hand in writing. But for Jackson, the ability to observe life around him and draw from the experiences of others was started at a very young age.
Well, I'm the baby of my family, so that means I got to watch all the older folks live. And, our parents took us everywhere, But I've been around big folks my whole life for the majority of it. I didn't do daycare, none of that. So all of these songs on this record are scores of vignettes of life that I have either lived on my own 2 feet or watched be lived with my own 2 eyeballs.
Jackson Dean. The band Perry, they're headlining Whiskey Jam tonight in Nashville. Dierks Bentley's Whiskey Row on Lower Broadway, the venue. And Burning House singer Cam, remember that monster hit from her? She's set to perform Alchemy from her new album, All Things Light, and that is happening this morning. Speaking of Trisha Yearwood's recent appearance, she's on the Today Show. And you're up to date on Coffee, Country, and Cody, top stories and entertainment on the 1951 anniversary of the induction of Letty Frizzell into membership of the Grand Ole Opry.
From WSM Radio, this is Coffee, Country, and Cody.
And there he is on the Assembly Food Hall stage. Would you welcome Rodney Dillard back to Coffee, Country, and Cody? It's been too long, Hoss.
It sure has. I just love the way you say my name. I never hear it in that positive way very much.
And you brought new music. And
yes, I have.
The Andy Griffith Show is at the heart of this. It's called The Dillards, Songs That Made Charlene Cry.
Yes, that came about because every time Andy would say, he would call a song. He would say, well, let's do Will You Love Me When I'm Old and Ugly? And Charlene would say, of course, gee, Pa, that makes me cry.
Yeah.
And then he would put one of our songs in, like Dooley or There Is a Time. So that's how they introduced the Darlin' songs, by having those fictitious names. And I thought, well, after 40 years and finding something to do, I decided, my wife and I, to write the songs to those titles.
And Maggie has passed a couple of years ago, unfortunately. Maggie Peterson played the part of Charlene Darlin'.
And Maggie was just a sweetheart. She was like she was on TV. She was just that innocence about her.
Yeah, and she aged so gracefully, too.
Oh, she did.
Yeah.
She did. We were able to do some things together over the years. But so that's sort of it's a tribute to everybody who was involved in that thing, and to her especially. And it was a neat thing to do. And I had no rules to follow except the titles of the song.
I see where you have worked with everybody from Elton John to John McEwen to Arlo Guthrie. You mentioned off the air a little bit ago people that you knew before they became who they are. And that would be like Don Henley came up in conversation, Bernie Ledden.
Yeah, it's not like I'm dropping names, You hear them hit the floor, boom, boom, boom. But it was a direct relationship with these guys, because when Henley first came to see me, he drove through a snowstorm in Texas, and he had a group called Felicity. And we had conversation. That's where I got to know him, and I liked what he did. Songs he was writing way back then when he was just a kid. Yeah. And it just through circumstances and the way things work. Like Bernie Ledden was a part of my brother's band for a while, like Vince Gill was. But back then there was a community on the West Coast that was very creative and original, and did involve the corporate input.
Mm-hmm. So who were the Dillards? In addition to you, there was Doug.
There was Doug, my brother, and then there was me, and that was the Dillards. But there was Doug and Mitch Jane, and another fellow, hillbilly sucker by the name of Dean Webb. And so we all met up. I mean, I can make this very brief. The Dillards left Salem, Missouri in a 55 Cadillac, a one-wheel trailer, and $60 and headed for Hollywood.
What year?
Around 63, I think, 1963. Not 1863, because there wasn't a Hollywood then. And there wasn't a Dillard.
My oldest son, when he was young, he's now in his early 40s, said, Dad, were you alive when Abraham Lincoln was president?
Well, that's you know what I realized, pardon me, but I was alive when Hitler was alive.
Yeah, so how old are you
Dead
now?
silence.
Huh? How old are you?
39.
Okay, I'll buy it. I'm buying it.
83.
Are you no kidding?
83 years of old age. So I've still got my part of my brain. I know that Nixon's still president, so I'm cool.
So, all right. So you picked up the story. You left Missouri,
Salem,
Missouri, your hometown.
Yeah, and we had my mom. It was 2 days before Thanksgiving, and she had packed our one-wheel trailer with Thanksgiving turkey. Well, we ran out of with $60. My gosh, we ran out of money, and we weren't used to that large sum of money. And we ran through it in about 3 weeks, and we made it as far as Oklahoma City. And from there, I'll make this quick. We had odd jobs, starved to death, ate crackers, till we got a gig at the Budai, which was a folk club that was a circuit where Smothers and everybody worked, you know. And we got enough money there to go to Hollywood. And this is a strange thing.
So did you have an appointment in Hollywood when you got there, or are you just going to Hollywood to see what you could make happen?
Right. That's exactly what we did. We got to Hollywood. We were broke. We checked in at the Melrose Motel, which was rented by the hour. And we went into this club, which is now the Comedy Store. Back then it was the Ash Grove. And it was the petri dish of the folk scene, the intellectuals. I can remember walking in the front door and someone come up to me, because we were very ragged, and he says, "What do you think of the existentialist dilemma?" I said, "I don't know. I was raised Baptist." So he walked away. So what we did, being the young people, we picked up our instruments, started playing in the lobby. And the guy who owned the place came out and said, "You can't do this here." He said, "Do it on stage." So that's how that happened. This is one of those stories where you discover it at a drugstore. And so it happened to be that a producer of the Byrds, not then, but later, and the owner of Elektra Records, Jack Holzman, they saw us there, and William Morris, which is the largest agency in the world, who handled Andy Griffith. So, cut to the chase, Andy saw where he had signed with Elektra that week, and he had a script in his hand called The Darlings Are Coming. And then he had the Variety, and he said, the Variety signs these weird-looking guys from the Ozarks who play this really weird music. It's called bluegrass. So Andy said, bring them boys over. So we went over there, walked into Desilu Studios, right? Kids out of the Ozark walked in. There was all these big, heavy shows being shot then, all the network hits. And they all curious in Hollywood. You know, they get bored quickly. And they want to see what the new thing in town is that they could destroy. And so Andy, they were shooting an episode, I think, where Don Knotts was singing off in the choir, right? And they put the sub in.
I just saw that episode over the weekend.
Cool. And so they were shooting that, I think. And Andy sat down in front of us in a folding chair, and so did Bob Sweeney, the director. He said, "Show us what you got." So we kicked into this tune. I don't know, halfway through it, and he went, "That's it." And I turned to Doug and I said, "Doug, they're kicking us out. What are we going to do?" Got up to leave, and then he said, "Where are you going? You got the job." We were only supposed to do one episode. Yeah. But we ended up doing, at the time, 5 and the movie. We probably would have done more, but we got very busy at that point.
You said your entire life unfolds on YouTube.
Oh, my gosh. Even an aunt that I had forgotten, you know. And I haven't heard about one of my relatives from Nashville stole a horse in Nashville, Dixon, and rode it to Thayer, Missouri, where it died, and that's where he settled.
Is that right? That's how the Dillards made it to the Ozarks.
That's it.
The Dillards, songs that made Charlene cry. And give us a setup. Don't hit your mama with a great big stick.
Well, that was one of the songs that was replaced by There Is a Time, I think, the one we wrote. Yeah. And so that was set up that way, and this is the song. It's full of this esoteric, it's sort of a poetic Rorschach test. You get out of it what you think. I would compare it to Dylan. Don't hit your grandma with a great big stick.
The Dillards, Coffee Country and Cody. Rodney Dillard on the Assembly Food Hall stage. Hey, we're back on Coffee, Country, and Cody from the Simply Superior Acuff House studio in the Grand Ole Opry Plaza. And on the Assembly Food Hall stage, wood, circa 1950, Ryman Auditorium is the wood you're sitting on this morning. Rodney Dillard is our guest with new music. And follow up at rodneydillard.tv.
I've been on this wood before.
I was going to say, what would have been the first Opry appearance?
The first Opry appearance we did, I was with Earl Scruggs. You know, he and I did a year touring together, and his album, and I came on there with Earl. And the next time was when Johnny Cash had his television show. We did 2 of those shows on this floor. In fact, I think that's where I fell down.
And the circle, historic circle in the Opry House
over there.
is from that same wood that you're on this morning.
Oh, the Ryman, yeah.
So, again, if you're just joining us, the Dillards, songs that made Charlene cry, with a nod to Maggie Peterson, great artwork on the cover. We featured Don't Hit Your Grandma with a Great Big Stick earlier.
Yeah.
And set up Dirty Me, Disgusted with Myself.
Well, that was Ernest T. I mean, the song, but Beverly, my wife, and I wrote the lyrics to this about Ernest T. because knowing him personally was another situation.
Howard Morris was his name.
People would ask me, what was Howard Morris like? I said, there wasn't any difference in Howard Morris and Ernest T. except the clothes.
No kidding.
He was like your aunt's Pekingese on a Sunday afternoon. When he'd grab a hold of your leg and your aunt would say, "Oh, he likes you."
And he produced some of those Andy Griffith shows.
He directed. Yeah, he directed. He was always when he did the movie with us. We did a thing called "Pick on the Piano," and he did this dance. Well, he had just got over, well, he was still getting over quadruple bypass heart surgery and remarrying his wife, wasn't it, Beverly? Yeah. Third time. But that was Ernest T. The quick story, Beverly and Maggie were going to go in Branson. They wanted to go shopping. And Ernest T., well, I want to go too. She tells us better than me. But we had a van that we were having trouble with the back thing. It wouldn't go down all the time. So we went out, and he told Beverly, he said, stop, because he saw an Elvis painting the guy was selling on the sidewalk, right? A velvet Elvis painting. He said, I got to have that for my fireplace. So stops, gets it, puts it in the thing. And we put up to another place, and she opened the thing to put something in, and he wanted to see his Elvis painting again, so he was down there. And she was talking to Maggie, and she was trying to get the lid down because she knew it was difficult. And she kept banging and banging and banging and turning around, and she was hitting Ernest T. in the head, and he was staggering. Every time I would see him, he said, your wife tried to kill me.
Rodney Dillard, the Dillards, and Dirty Me, I'm Disgusted with Myself. And all these songs on the album, Rodney, have some reference to quotes from the Andy Griffith Show. Famous quotes, right?
Yes, and that's why I call the album a tribute.
Yeah.
And they're all songs that they were supposed to do, but we interchanged them. Andy would slip into our songs, which Andy managed to get at least 4 or 5 of our songs on each show. See, Andy was very good to us.
How about that?
Yeah.
You were at the Hall of Fame yesterday?
Yep.
You performed?
Yeah, I did.
Ricky Skaggs showed up.
Yeah, well, I did a little seminar over there. Yes, in the spring of 1862, a small band of immigrants. I was being PBS.
And you're in the International Bluegrass Music Association Hall of Fame, IBMA.
Yeah.
What year did you go in? Do you recall?
I don't remember everything anymore. Being at 83, I think it was this century.
Did you have classmates that you remember? Who was in your class, your induction class?
Oh, I don't remember. Boy, you're putting it on me now, aren't you?
No. I just thought maybe somebody came to mind.
No, I don't remember. But I keep looking at my wife because she remembers everything. But it was 2009. Well, it was the Bill Monroe Hall of Fame I got in, and then this one, and then Homer Schwartz, I got into his. He has a Record Your Voice booth in Needles, California. But it's just so odd. Then I got my doctorate from Missouri State, which was kind of interesting. I really lowered the bar on that.
Is it an honorary doctorate? Or
yeah,
you
doctorate of letters and humanities,
yeah.
yes. So now, and I spoke to all these graduates and told them to go out there and don't do, I said, this generation now is just an endless sea of gimme, gimme, so don't do that.
That was it. Thank you and good night.
But I lowered the bar, Nelson Mandela and all those guys, and Mark Twain. What was his real name?
Samuel Clemens.
Yo, Sam, yeah. Me and Sam, we're just like that,
Fellow Missourians?
Yeah. But, that's been my history it's just, I've had a really, really interesting life. I've loved it,
So what was your first big payday? Do you remember your first Andy Griffith Show paycheck?
Yes, sir.
How much?
It's big. It's big. $300. You're laughing.
That goes a long way in Hollywood, I'm sure. 1960, what?
Three, four, somewhere
4?
in that group of time. Yeah, that was big. And Andy said to us, he said, "Now you boys are not going to make any money because we're paying you as musicians." And back then there was no residuals for anyone. But Andy, God bless him, he says, "But I will get as many songs of yours on the air as I can." And being a member of ASCAP, and it goes on in perpetuity, that Andy really, he could have done all PD, made us do all PD songs.
Yeah, public domain.
Yeah, and then they would take that. But he didn't. He gave it to us, and we did and God bless him, man. He was so good to the Dillards.
Is there any place in the world you go where you're not recognized?
You know what? Sounding arrogant here, I'll do my PBS. Yes, I am intelligent, and I am on, national radio. No, if I identify who I am, look, I'm old and ugly. I got there's more of me now than there was when I, and it's just hanging around. So yeah, if I make friends, once they know who we were, then I have a friend for life there. And that's what I like about going out at my age. I enjoy people so much anymore. Yeah. Wow. I really am a hermit. It's like a schizophrenic thing. But when I get out with people, I just love to talk to people. And there's so many stories in people. And the people who watch the Andy Griffith Show, now this is true. In 60 years that we would do our product when we go on the road, like people do, we have never gotten a bad check from somebody who bought a Mayberry thing. That says a lot, doesn't it?
It does.
So it was being a small part of that. It was very humbling to me to have had that opportunity.
Thanks for sharing your story and coming to see us this morning, Rodney.
Oh,
Rodney
thank
Dillard.
you for having me.
Yeah. And RodneyDillard.tv is the place to go to link to everything you're doing and where you're going to be.
You'll even see dogs that I used to own years ago.
Will you love me when I'm old and ugly?
Like my wife said, let's write a old people's love song. Mm-hmm. And she inspired this one, and she really called it the truth. So,
the Dillards, songs that made Charlene Darling cry. On Coffee, Country, and Cody, Rodney Dillard.